Move into a pretty exciting matchup, as this matchup is one that potentially could break everyone's bracket. If a giant upset was to occur, it's YerAnd versus Ryooo. YerAnd took Group G in a fairly dominant fashion, 2 wins and a tie. The tie to ML726, where ML726 Matt put up such a huge performance as Spy to try and break YerAnd's impeccable sniper record. All it took was the craziest bug from Small Man on Pub to finally find a Spy game and equalize the series after he basically threw YerAnd through the works. But Ryooo, a challenger player who is relatively scary, yet slightly inconsistent, in Group H took down Royal Flush in his series, dropped to Catnip, but fairly close. Ryoo's the kind of player that I think when he's firing on all cylinders will surprise you. And so this is a series where I feel like YerAnd is 100% everyone's favorite to win, but you just can't count out the underdog.
It's very hard sometimes when you have players like that. They're a little less consistent maybe, but the height of their play is good enough to beat the favorite, especially if they have a bit of momentum going. These are usually the hardest choices, where you have someone who has more experience, probably more game knowledge overall, and is the smart choice on paper, the person you'd pick if your life depended on it maybe. But on the other side, you have someone who's just sort of barreling down, getting better day after day, week after week, and you wonder if they're going to be able to improve just enough to surprise the other player. And sometimes the fact that they don't seem as likely to win is one of the reasons they can. Maybe they're not going to be taken seriously enough, even though SpyParty players are usually a humble bunch. Very easy in this tournament in particular to look past the bracket round that you're in onto the next one. And if you do that, you might not see the next one.
Yeah, I know. Speaking to YerAnd, I've talked to him a lot this week. We've played a fair share of scrimmage matches, and he 100% respects YerAnd's capability. He respects himself. No, he respects Ryoo's capability here. One thing I suppose worth noting, if we're going to do the full 9 yards here, is that Ryooo has just come back from a bit of a holiday, and so will be potentially feeling slightly unprepared for this matchup, but did get some good practice in before, I know that much. So with that being said, we head over to Veranda to start off this series, and it will be Ryooo spying first as the second seed, opting to spy first. The second time tonight, actually. We'll have to see how he does play it out as Plane Twin.
Yeah, the new meta, apparently. Spy first. It seems to be gaining momentum.
Gaining momentum. Yeah, somewhat. I mean, yesterday we had our fair share of snipe first from the second seeds, but here we go. Ryooo spying first as Plane Twin versus YerAnd in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And you say he's rusty. Maybe he's fresh. Could go either way. I will say, generally speaking, that might be true in more athletic endeavors, but with SpyParty, usually playing is better than not playing.
Yeah, no, I think that can be true, but I guess suppose depending on what kind of practice you put in or what kind of games you play, just casually, maybe that influences you. YerAnd is a scary sniper. Highest success rate this year over in the SpyParty competitive league with a whopping 89.5% success as sniper. Somewhat crazy. So to break the camel's back is a feat in its own right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree that your practice type is what really determines whether or not you want to be playing before or not. I actually made a specific point this year in Diamond to never play any game, casual or otherwise, the day of a match.
Ryooo, blue book in hand, heads on over towards this back window here where he is going to transfer the microfilm. It's a white test. You can see the head tilt if you're looking for it on the sniper cam. YerAnd potentially not. Here comes the book return. And if you missed the microfilm transfer, but you're now looking over towards the twin, looking for a microfilm transfer now, maybe that could be less suspicion.
It could, but the camera position that YerAnd had makes me think that he was very suspicious of that. He was keeping that head in view, had sort of a 3/4 angle on the party. I actually think Ryooo could already be in trouble here.
Stepping back into conversation with our seduction target, we hit a lovely 85% flirt. Here comes a white purloin. Watching YerAnd here, he doesn't have good view of the guest list. Oh, maybe just sees it now. No, it's pretty much hidden. I don't think he has seen that the guest list is gone. Ryooo has changed conversations, and it only looks like now YerAnd is making an effort to look at it. And yeah, look, zooms in towards the guest list. Now we'll be looking for some lowlights and potentially looking for some highlights as well.
Always curious to see what people do when that purloin comes off. They have to make a decision about how suspicious they are. Do they lay low? Do they press ahead? Ryooo, I think, maybe senses that he could be a big suspect here.
With that sip of the drink, it confirms in YerAnd's mind that he definitely has sips left. Now steps over to statues, though, to gulp that drink down and pick up a shot from YerAnd. Turns out he was about as suspicious as anyone could be.
Yeah, I actually am very anxious to ask YerAnd whether or not they were on them before that purloin. I think they might have. I saw some really interesting, really good telling camera work there from YerAnd. And you hear me every cast, you know I love to harp on camera work as the sniper. It's a boring part of the game, but it's very, very important.
Yeah, you can see the camera position to try and catch the microfilm whilst it's at the blue bookshelf. But even before then, highlight towards YerAnd, potentially even just for pathing as he exits the blue bookshelf, or just wanting to watch, because I guess Veranda has a reputation of direct transfers and you want to watch where these guys go. But the path, I think, potentially was enough to highlight him. Regardless, either way, there's YerAnd's magic voodoo sniping style, able to find a suspect before they do anything relatively incriminating. YerAnd now spying as Queen. We'll have to see if the tradition of sweeping veranda continues here. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Will it be YerAnd? Will he take them both? Yeah, I think if you're YerAnd, actually, that purloin is nice. It kind of covers what you might have caught them for. It looks like maybe you just caught them for the boring old purloin, and maybe Ryoo's not going to realize what it was that got them suspicious in the first place.
YerAnd with a very cheeky drive-by flirt. Picks up a 51% on the go and finishes the mission off in 25 seconds.
Quite a pickup line, that. That's about as efficient as I think I've ever seen Seduce get done on Veranda.
It's, hey, you, me, tonight? Nice.
Yep. Just wink, point, finger guns, and there's the hotel room key, just like that. Yeah. That's just cowboy. That's cowboy's move when he orders from the bar. It's a favorite of mine, yeah.
With that said, first mission completion, Seduce. Not one that you... Well, I suppose some scripts say that Seduce is the first mission completed, but never that quickly. Here's YerAnd, though, at the blue bookshelf now. Book in hand. We'll have to see what he does decide to do with it. Currently staring down the position of Toby and the ambassador, and really good game sense, because when you look over towards the sniper cam, zoomed in on the ambassador, entering that left-hand side.
Yeah, at that point, are you really going to watch this one person at this far bookshelf try to complete maybe half a mission when the ambassador and the guest list and most of the party are on the left side? Almost never. YerAnd understands that would just be a bad place for the sniper to look, so why not go ahead and do it?
Here comes the fingerprint at green bookshelves. And now we may look to finish up this microfilm here. Ryooo marks the book green, and so is aware of Queen's presence on the map. But that might not mean anything once YerAnd returns the book back towards the green bookshelf. Missed conversation entry, but once more, Ryooo zoomed in on the left-hand side, staring down the ambassador. There's the contact coming through as well, and a couple of lowlights available to Ryooo.
Not bad for Veranda, though. YerAnd just putting themselves in a really good position here. Partial progress on some missions, others done already. When you get Seduce done like that early, you can really just focus on the more dangerous, perilous missions like this.
Ryooo follows Queen into the left portion of the room here. Here comes the microfilm transfer to white test. Oh, we're zoomed in on the guest list. Queen took up half our screen, but we didn't see the transfer.
It's all about the eyes. You're right. The zoom in on the guest list was very unfortunate because, as you say, the microfilm head tilt very, very visible. But if you're not looking there, if you're trying to catch a fade where a half a second makes all the difference between ascertaining a green or a white, sometimes you're not going to be looking at all at that half of the screen you mentioned.
YerAnd attempts the difficult fingerprint on the briefcase, but is unsuccessful in hitting the green action test. Really wanted that so that he could complete missions quietly. But now we'll have to step over towards the statues. I believe there may be a fingerprint here. No, there isn't actually. So we are just picking up our inspects now. 39 seconds on the clock, and we need to find 2 more mission completions.
This might be the best for YerAnd. Missing that fingerprint means going to statues, pretty clearly trying to go for a statueless game otherwise, but if they've done something like Purloin, we can see Ryooo is very, very focused on Purloin at the expense of everything else, so this could be a blessing in disguise.
We head over to a second statue set here. We can see the ambassador over there, but this one also has a fingerprint on it, but Ryooo very much on top of the threat that Queen presented and takes the shot for the second statue in a row.
Yeah, very, very impressive. Could just be mostly the statue, might be on the fingerprint. I think it took a little while for that fingerprint to be cashed in there, potentially. I said maybe a blessing in disguise. Entirely possible, though, based on that shot, that game was already over.
Yeah, potentially. You know, we talk about the miss of the microfilm transfer, but that is only because of the fact that Ryooo doesn't show any indication that he saw it. And when you are zoomed in and Queen does take up, you know, the better portion of your screen, maybe you are watching that microfilm transfer happen and just disguising the fact that the Queen was your most suspicious target. So yeah, very impossible that he was all over it from the start.
Well, right, because at that point, you need to wait for at least one more action, probably. You're probably not going to shoot for that. And because seduction was already done, no reason to even go and flirt exactly. So if you're waiting for literally one more action that could complete a mission, it's going to be that second statue visit.
And this is really important if you are going to beat YerAnd, is that you essentially keep up pace as a sniper against him. Likely you lose the series as soon as you lose one sniper round against YerAnd, but as long as Ryooo can continue winning sniper rounds against YerAnd, then Ryooo constantly remains in a position where he can upset this series. Moving on into pub here, any 3 of 5, deciding to cut Bug out of the mix, and of course Swap, which is standard, looking to keep Purloin on the table. Let's see what he can do as Irish in 3, 2, 1, playing it. I don't know about your understanding of YerAnd's sniper style. You've definitely casted him multiple times tonight. This year, warning track. But my understanding is that YerAnd knows the exact routes that an AI will take to reach any point on this map. And you better path correctly.
There are a few snipers who are particularly good at it. He's definitely one of them. Bloom, another, and Diamond, certainly. You see that a lot with Pub in particular. There's so many weird little paths coming out of that doorway, and it's sort of a small enough map. It looks big, but in terms of actual walkways available, there's so many narrow points that you should be able to predict how people are going to path. Very often you can use it to predict ambassador routes, for example, to set up bugs. I've seen you do that on your stream a couple times, and even illustrate and telestrate how you've been doing it. So Pub, in particular, really good for people who are willing to pay attention to that because the number of possible routes are relatively low compared to other maps.
Currently, Ryooo content with timer flirting here. A very hard map, though, to take a shot correctly on is any 3 of 5 pub, as you only require 3 missions, and they can be all soft tells. Makes the job of the sniper an almost impossible one.
Yeah, I like the adjustment of adding this, not just getting more Softail variants as the tournament goes on, but particularly making people change it up. This is a map people have been practicing for the Summer Cup, but they've been practicing a different version of it.
Seduce now completed. In the first minute and a half of this game, Ryooo swiftly leaves the conversation, bouncing around the map just a little bit to path into the conversation with the double agent here. Currently, there are 2 highlights on the table, both Smallman and Duke. YerAnd have under his radar, and a contact would knock them both out.
That would be very bad, and you have to have, in the 3-5 mode as opposed to 4-8, you have to be aware of who could be done. You need to be very careful of who you knock out with that banana bread in a way you don't have to with other modes.
Anyone who goes to statues, anyone who interacts with the ambassador via fingerprint, you cannot afford to lose them. It requires great party sense, and currently Ryooo's just holding off. You know, the double agent has left the conversation, sure, but Ryooo clearly was not comfortable with contacting regardless.
And it's particularly important, by the way, you notice YerAnd here trying to distinguish between the real DA and the SDA. One is highlight, one is lowlit. I'm not sure which one indicates which, though. If highlight indicates real DA, then he's got it backwards.
Smallman steps into the conversation with the real DA, but at this point a contact would just be enough potentially to get him shot. He has a fingerprint. I don't know how much mission progress he has in title. Ryooo goes to the bar now to request a drink from the bartender. 28 seconds left on the clock, and potentially we're looking to Purloin to finish this game off. Oh, it is. It's a straight, immediate Purloin. We are framing Duke, and Duke is at statues, inspecting his way potentially to a mission win. Has YerAnd noticed the guest list is gone? I don't know if he has. 4 seconds left on the clock. Here comes the contact. Ryooo looking to try and finish this game, and the shot's going to come off. YerAnd finds the correct one. With Duke knocked out, the shot was easy.
Wow. Yeah, very significant there. It's one of those things where I think if you realize the situation you've put Duke in, maybe you don't do that. Maybe you don't actually try to finish. Although, let me see here the timing of that. Duke picks up that statue. Oh, goodness. He would have inspected with just under 10 seconds. So it would have been overtime even if it was Duke. So if you're YerAnd and you're watching Duke at all there, you know you're probably going to have at least a second at overtime to shoot there with that inspect.
However, the highlight does come from Duke picking up an inspect very early on at 2:10. So the inspect is almost irrelevant to mission progress. And I guess at that point, YerAnd has to make the decision. If Duke is the spy, has he finished Flirt? Because with an inspect and a delegated Purloin, that's what he requires. And when you watch Duke's gameplay here, he goes from statue at the beginning of the game, bar at the beginning of the game, where he, is close enough to orange dress, potentially to Flirt, into the back conversation with Rocker and Twin, over towards the statues where he picks up his inspect, to a window pad, back into the bar where no one's talking, nowhere to seduce. Ryooo steps into the conversation, and then Duke goes straight back into the bar. So a very observant sniper would be able to count that Duke just has not finished Flirt with anyone, and there is no need to shoot him.
Yeah, very good awareness there to make that kind of distinction. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to go, well, they're highlight, they're at statues, they could be done, whatever. But if you can recall back, and if you are using your highlights that way, gives you a few more options. I think a lot of patience from YerAnd there. Technically didn't even shoot until OT began.
Fantastic stuff from YerAnd. Once more showing that he is one of the scariest snipers in SpyParty, just at all. Up there.
Period. Yeah.
I suppose.
No division qualifiers there.
No, not at all. Just, everyone knows that Kaylee will shoot you almost regardless of what you do. But YerAnd will shoot you without seeing what you do. He just knows you are the spy. He sees the code. He sees the green arrow above your head. And now spying on any 3 of 5 pub, sticking with the Purloin here. Ryooo to snipe has to keep up with YerAnd. Let's see if he can do it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I do think we'll see some growing pains as YerAnd advances because everyone has them, but early indicators are that this is someone whose sniper game can play at a very high level, certainly.
YerAnd, fantastic position, picks up the Flirt to begin with, and is surveying the party. With Purloin on, of course, you can frame someone. It's a slightly more soft variant of the hardtail in the sense that because there are multiple ways it can occur, maybe as a last mission, the sniper isn't 100% who delegated or who immediately Purloined. Regardless, we'll have to see how YerAnd does play it. back in conversation with our seduction target Wheels, and we're going to start up our contact here as the double agent does join us. It's a white test and actually looks relatively good for a contact, but there are only 4 people who could be real.
That's unfortunate. Obviously, as the spy, you're going to play the odds. You're going to see a lot of people in conversation. Figure that there's a really good chance that other conversation with 4 people in it has an SDA in it. It turns out it doesn't, as you say, one of only 4 people who could have done real. And if that's the case, yep, there it is. Ryooo realizing, oh my goodness, in this case, whatever I would normally do with my highlights, they should probably be used for this instead in this particular instance.
Yeah, also a highlight given over to Alice, so that's a delayed realization that Taft, the suspected double agent, stepped into conversation late, or you're highlighting for the fact that the contact sometimes is used to cover hardtails, but bugs turned off, so I'm assuming that must just be a case of you didn't see Taft or on the alone towards the left side. And now our seduction target Wheel steps to statues, which is about as suspicious as you can get on any 3 of 5.
I think you're right. I think there are a couple highlights here that have made this a little more difficult because they weren't positive of who was in and who was out and who could have done a real BB or not. I think if they were sniping perfectly there, they'd have this down to 4 already.
With Wheels at statues, the urgency, the suspicion that you have to shoot becomes ever more so. Previous game, it was YerAnd's ability to track Flirt that really put him in a position to be able to hold his shot. We'll have to see if Ryooo is doing the same. Here comes YerAnd's Flirt, 82% now. One more will put us in a position where that mission is completed, but we still need to find our 3rd.
And I'm not sure if any of these highlights have been to statues, maybe Wheels. I don't quite recall if that was statues or bar, but either way, the potential real BBers not doing a lot.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah. I was wondering if that would come back to haunt as it does, as Alice was not a real BBer.
Yeah, she was not, and I'm not sure what 3rd mission she's being shot for there. Let me see. I'm not sure I see a statue visit in this game either.
So if you go back with sound on, might as well, to the contact here. We'll pause it as soon as it appears on our screen now. You can see very much so Alice in the conversation with the ambassador. Have you found it?
Assumed cover.
Assumed cover. But for what?
Maybe worried about those tiny conversations. Sometimes someone looks, when they're standing kind of catty corner to the ambassador like that, they look like they're not in bug range, but maybe they are. I think maybe just... Oh, right, goodness. Then I have no idea. I have no idea.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, Ryooo says that he shot Alice for possible bug seducing. I don't remember, but that's, I guess, really unfortunate because bug is not a mission that can be completed.
Well, I feel better then because, if we can forget it, certainly the sniper can.
Right, exactly. So the first spy win of the tonight comes through, and YerAnd is the one to take it off a wrong shot from Ryooo. Over to library now, where Ryooo will be looking to try and bounce back from that loss there. Playing as Queen on the library here. We'll have to find out if he is able to do so in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
It doesn't happen to me too often, but it does happen to me, forgetting which mission is off or on. It happens more casting than playing, I'll say that, but it has happened to me playing as well.
TLDR. Any 3 of 5 pub, but this is slightly different. It's really important when you play any cut map that you are 100% aware of what missions are turned on. I've seen it happen all the way up in Platinum.
Oh yeah, no, it does.
We're drawn onward, I believe. Wrong shot someone for a mission that was not enabled.
Yeah. You can argue this one of 2 ways. Either bug is so powerful that obviously you have to leave it on because, oh my goodness, even when it's off, it's suspicious. On the other hand, if you don't need to leave it on to have someone get shot for it, might as well turn it off.
Yeah, and at this point, even though you've taken the loss on any 3 of 5 of pub, you're just bloody happy that you don't have to play that variant ever again.
Yes, yeah, back on something maybe a little more comfortable here. We know a lot of new players in particular, they love Courtyard, and they seem to really like Library. So I'm just going to assume sight unseen from that alone that Ryooo maybe comfortable in Library, certainly more comfortable than they probably are in pub 3 of 5.
Ryooo, Picks up the triple inspect at middle statues and a highlight as well. YerAnd currently has 3. YerAnd's the kind of sniper that will keep his highlights to a bare minimum as possible, even knocking them down to neutral if they do certain voodoo magical things that he deems more AI-like than spy-like.
He's got that secret sniper algorithm, which he's selfishly not going to share with us.
You have to kidnap Ponoob, I believe, and tickle it out of him. But so far, 85% on the seduce. Ryooo currently just idling in this conversation.
Maybe a little worried about that entry. Had to bounce around and did pretty much a full 360 before entering in front of someone. I'm not sure how much it was seen, but I think the point is Ryooo maybe isn't sure either.
Over towards the briefcase, we pick it up and start fingerprinting it. So we've got ourselves a partial progress on this mission. We also stop as the ambassador walks towards us and then continue to return it. YerAnd's pretty much staring that down, trying to make sure a bug does not occur. We'll have to see if he likes what he saw.
Yeah, so the question is it because they're already very suspicious of Ryooo, or because they just want to watch that particular action because it's the kind of thing they care about or the kind of thing they're worried about? Can't really tell from the camera movement at this point.
Seduce completed. Fingerprint half done. We've got 2 missions and 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock. There is still that fingerprint on the far left statue, and it looks like Ryooo is making his way over towards it. I have to wonder how suspicious this looks to a sniper. Oh, we swap as well. Oh, we slam the statue down. This is library strategies, and we get out of town, and YerAnd does not see a thing.
YerAnd was looking at the guest list and slightly on the ambassador, but mostly the guest list in particular. And yeah, I don't think saw much of anything. And Duke is blocking it, so even when YerAnd goes back over, I'm not sure he's seen that it's been swapped yet.
No,
now he
not
will.
at all. Now if he looks back over, he'll see it swapped, yeah, but that is the most frustrating thing as a sniper, when all you want to do is look at that far left statue and you can't because someone in conversation is blocking it. YerAnd may not even look at it at all for the rest of this game. We have 4 missions completed. We have 30 seconds left on the clock. We need a contact. We need a bug. We need a purloin. And looks like it is going to be the purloin. A green action test from the window pad. Toby to bounce around the map for eternity, it may seem. Let's see if YerAnd keeps Ryooo in the reject chain. He's currently idling. Here it comes. Green. The fade. It's the snipe into the head of Ryooo. YerAnd, a monster with the rifle, finds his 4th.
That's really unfortunate. The double agent was returning a briefcase. I'm pretty sure that's why Ryooo decided to go for the purloin, and I really think that that's what flipped the game. I don't think YerAnd actually had much of a beat on that swap. You mentioned earlier it can be very frustrating when you can't see that statue. Sometimes, of course, you try to lean and you can't see around it regardless because you're worried about a swap. But more often what happens is you just want to do your quick check, right? Look to the right, look to the left, see if the statue swapped, check the ambassador, check the guest list, go through the checklist in your head. When you want to do that quickly, even if you could see the statue leaning, you're not going to dedicate that kind of time to it. You're just going to glance over, especially when you have no reason to think anyone's been there. So that delayed the recognition, I think, on the statue. And I just think he got away with it. I think a banana bread at least has a high likelihood of winning that game for Ryooo, but the double agent doing briefcase at the time forces him to do another hardtail.
Yeah, just watching this back from the sniper can, just as, you know, YerAnd can kind of start to insinuate guilt potentially from who left the scene of the crime. However, you see Queen leave the area, and then you don't see the swapped statue for another, oh god, what feels like 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. And you never saw Queen there. So this shot comes from even more suspicion, I suppose, than you know, seen to us from the spectator booth.
Yeah.
Really unfortunate for Ryooo, but we just see this time and time again from YerAnd, the god shot as it would be. And YerAnd, once more, finds that win on library. Now, 4-1 in this series, spying as a red dress. We'll have to see if YerAnd is able to continue this absolute dominance in this series on the spy roll in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
That's the mark of a very good sniper. It's not that you don't miss things, it's that you recover well from them and you have the good sense to take a more aggressive shot or know what to look for late when you've missed something. That is when you pull those games, when you win those 30% games, more than 30% of the time.
YerAnd wants the bug, finds the bug, is just as Ryooo swings his camera back over towards the spy. But highlights are thrown out to other members. Oh, there it is. Very delayed. Seems like the
Banana bread.
Oh, and a contact as well. We talked about this in the previous series.
There's the fake. Let's see how Ryooo reacts to it. Remember, yeah, got burned earlier with a slow reaction to that banana bread. Might have swung that game even.
And if you look back towards the JY Turnip Boy series, when you think you see a bug, and then the character that you thought bug steps into a conversation with a DA, and then you hear contact, that might just be enough to confirm in your head that the bug was 100% seen.
Yeah, and on Library, you need to get another significant mission by the sniper. It's not like it's Courtyard. You get your one mission by, and even if you're top suspect, who cares? There's the mission win screen. That's not going to happen on Library. In this case, if you're already a suspect, you have to get a lot done under the sniper's watchful laser.
Yep. We'll have to see how Ryooo continues to play this game. Potentially this highlight is just a flirt pairing with Taft. We won't know until this game gets into the later stages. Currently YerAnd, with Toby behind him, is going to reject once more, not looking to purloin just now. We've got 26% flirt done and 2 mission progress. It's a pretty good spot to be in.
It's not bad depending on what level of suspicion they actually have. If they have a lot, it really doesn't matter how much mission progress they have, but if it's not too bad, they could still find a route towards a win here.
YerAnd picks up the briefcase, finds the fingerprint, puts it back down since the ambassador was at the statues. And when you're behind against a player that clearly you feel is better than you, it is always interesting to me how aggressive you are to take a shot, or how, I suppose, lenient you are to wait out the game and really just wait for the confirmation necessary to turn a 98% shot into a 100% shot.
Yeah, that last 2% matters. And YerAnd, very interesting here. I figured they were going to side statues because they wanted to get a fingerprint on the far side statues. They saw the fingerprint being left there and maybe were planning this out in advance. Instead, back-to-back statue visits.
Back-to-back, 3-time YerAnd with 3 sets of inspectors searching for this fingerprint, but there is just not one to be.
I wonder if I might be misremembering. There is one on the other set of statues. YerAnd actually doing something I've seen brand new players do, which is sometimes they don't realize you can inspect adjacent statues, and they go to each statue individually to complete the mission. That's what it looked like he just did.
If you're the top suspect and you just went to 3 statues in a row like that, do you remain top suspect? Or are you,
Well, it depends on how much you buy into the kind of Yomi stuff. You know, I try to be pretty agnostic about it for the most part. But if you are trying to sell the sniper on the idea that you could not possibly be the spy after early suspicion, that's a pretty daring way to do it.
26 seconds and suddenly a sure win, well, not a sure win, but a mission, a game that looked so good to us has just turned into a dire situation. YerAnd picks up the briefcase, finds his fingerprint, but he still needs one more mission. Safety off for half a second. YerAnd finds the 4th statue visit. At this point, Ryooo is just waiting for that swap to come. And like clockwork, the flash of a red swap in the sniper's vision is enough to turn a 98% shot into a 100% shot. And Ryooo takes
red
it.
Red dress, red swap, red, dead. Game over, just like that. Clearly was very nearly shot for just the fingerprint at that point. And I believe YerAnd confirming in chat, thought there was a print on one of those statues. I know the feeling. There was one at the other set, though. Very interesting to see what they would have done if they noticed that or gone for that one instead.
Let's have a quick look through the replay. There's a fingerprint at yellow bookshelf here.
Yeah, and left set of statues, far right statue, I believe.
No fingerprint there. So I assume it must be the yellow bookshelf that the fingerprint, where the phantom fingerprint came from. But like you mentioned, on the other side of the map there were opportunities. The right statue there, like you mentioned, has the fingerprint. And did you say green bookshelf as well?
I'm not sure about that, yeah, but definitely the other statue. But, you know, if you think there's one there, you can just drive yourself batty, I guess, going up and down those things, trying to find it. But there is the ancillary benefit that we discussed, you know, even if it's not there. Well, at that point, you've done something pretty audacious, and you could lose heat for it anyway. So there's still a win-win there. It's a kind of way of failing gracefully, even though it didn't work.
Sure. Well, we're in a position now where Ryooo has converted the sniper game and is only sitting a point, theoretically, behind YerAnd. Just a spy win. It's all it takes, is a spy win into a sniper win, and we're back on a level footing. Definitely not out for the count on Courtyard now, though. A map that I suppose at the beginning of the year we thought was 100% sniper favored, but spies have shown us to hold our tongue when talking about such things. Warning track. As general, Ryooo looks for a spy win on Courtyard in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I still think it's pretty sniper favored, but I can't deny that we've seen a strange number of spy wins on Courtyard in these casts.
I was looking through my stats for the Summer Cup, and I'm 4 for 4 as spy on Courtyard, which blew my mind.
Yeah, just putting it out there. I think you just you threw the gauntlet down to your upcoming competitors.
Yeah, Nephilus. Cut contact. See what that does for you.
Don't
Inside
do it,
joke.
it's a trick. Yeah.
Fingerprint is the start here for Ryooo. The first briefcase, the first return. We haven't started the seduce up yet, but we may look to do so in just a bit. Oh, that's the second fingerprint. It's a pronto. Pronto.
Very nice. Done just like that, and the second one a difficult off a drink. Even at Windows, even on Courtyard, it can be very hard for YerAnd to credit that.
Look at that. Seduction target steps right over to us. Now we've got our flirt done. This is looking well good for a spy win on Courtyard.
Yeah, at this point, the big question is, other than how do I not screw up my pathing, do I go to statues or do I contact first? And we have our answer.
Yep, it is going to be the inspects coming through from General here. Now, I guess it just depends on how suspicious YerAnd is that a fingerprint could occur. The laser seemed pretty stationary for a second there, and oh, just as he rotates around, General's feet are seen behind the pot plant. Potentially we miss the inspects.
Could be. Depends on how good you are at catching that path coming out. Some snipers surprisingly good at it. They really don't need to see you there as long as they see you emerging from there. Hard to say.
Seduce up to 82%. Toby offers us a drink, but we reject it. All we want is a contact of the double agent. Please come into our circle, Ryooo is thinking. Unbeknownst to him, Duke, the SDA, is standing here, and so the SDA won't be able to. But, oh, is this a switcheroo? Duke out, Teal in? Please? Yes?
That's exactly
Maybe?
what happens. No!
Oh, she's coming. She's going. She doesn't know what she wants.
Wow. I think except for that collision with Red Dress, she was headed in there.
We finish our seduce. 25 seconds. YerAnd staring down people at statues. Now we have to make the shuffle across the courtyard into the conversation with the double agent. 15 seconds left on the clock. This could be very suspicious timing for YerAnd.
Yes, you hate to have to do this. You hate to have to do this as a spy.
Contact done. 7 seconds. There will be a blip of overtime, but I don't think a shot's coming through. 2, 1. Oh, we're aiming at twin, and the spy accomplishes his missions. Ryooo finds the spy win on Courtyard.
Yeah, it felt like a close game. I don't know if it was close in terms of actual suspicion. It was close in terms of proximity, though. It was nearly next to the shooting victim. But I think even if you are marginally suspicious of that fingerprint, so hard to shoot there. But as a spy, that's what you hate. You hate having to do that, Banana Bread, entering a conversation late on Courtyard and then Banana Breading immediately. That is so nerve-wracking. Not normally a very scary mission, but when you have to do it late like that, it can become terrifying and very risky. But in this case, you really have to attribute that whole game to hitting that difficult fingerprint, not just hitting it and completing the mission. That's significant in and of itself because you avoid the hardtails, but hitting it early so you know for the rest of the game, you just have to play clean and you probably win. You don't have to bank the end of the game hoping you're going to hit a green. We've talked about that before, about how getting some of these missions done like Seducer Fingerprint, obviously that's not enough by itself, but when you get them done early, you can plan things out so much better, and that's what happens here for Ryooo.
Pretty impressive stuff there for Ryooo. And yeah, like you mentioned, the difficult fingerprint. I mean, YerAnd potentially aware of the threat, but it's just so early on in the game that potentially exits your mind towards the end. More suspicious characters by the fact that the overtime shot was lined up on a completely different character. Ryooo finds a much necessary spy win in this series to stay in it. Now YerAnd will spy to try and strike back as Rocker. We'll have to see what he has lined up for us in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, Fingerprint, a great mission on Courtyard, but disproportionately valuable if you can get it done early. That is extra credit for sure.
YerAnd starts this game off snuggly with the Ambassador. Does not bug, but potentially to Ryooo, if you weren't able to watch the very opening seconds of this game, you might just credit a bug.
And the real question is, they're going to credit this Purloin when it goes off. A lot of activity there around a lot of mission sites early. I wonder if they cancel each other out in the sniper's mind.
That's a contact and a Purloin. Trying to cover it up.
Yeah, that's a big highlight, though. He's clearly among the suspects for the Purloin. You see lowlights coming off, and so far, Ryooo seems to have narrowed this down pretty.
Let's see how this game does progress. I remember back to a game I played against YerAnd, a scrim on this map where I saw him swap I thought I saw him swap the statue early on in the game. You know, kind of played that game of, did I phantom this? It was so early. 2 fake BBs, a flirt, inspect, and then a Purloin to win the game. YerAnd can do this to you. It's insane.
Yeah, and even though he's got the hardtail and he's not dead yet, look at this party. Look at how narrowed down it is. And I know you would have low-lit buns for that right there.
Potentially.
Probably. Depends on the opponent, I assume.
Yes. So, this highlight sticks. And currently, YerAnd potentially sticking out like a sore thumb on Ryoo's screen. Looking for a flirt, but we are playing this game so slow. Really, I guess just hoping that we can force a wrong shot onto the other suspected character.
Yeah, this feels very much like, hey, I did the Purloin. You've heard the... Wow! I don't think it was seen. Oh my goodness.
Kind of shakes his camera, potentially as if he wanted to get a better view of it, but no, maybe not. Here comes the statue. YerAnd definitely was not in a conversation with an SDA when the contact came through, and this is what I was talking about. YerAnd finds creative ways to find wins, but look at this, safety off. Shot comes through. Ryooo happy to take it, and that is him finding the sniper win required to tie the series up.
Yeah, YerAnd clearly playing that game like, look, you've heard of Banana Bread, the guest list is gone, shoot somebody. You have to, right? Clearly playing that type of game, and then decides, as you often do in that type of game, when no shot has come off with about a minute left, well, I guess I'd better complete missions. Really seems like that bug was just not seen, though. And it's so hard to get a bug by in general, but it's really hard when you're already one of the top suspects for the Purloin. So I think YerAnd there probably got away with the hard part, and then got shot for the obligatory statue visit after that Purloin.
Yeah, by looks of it, seems like Ryooo was pretty certain that it was a green Purloin, by the fact that he low-lit Orange Dress, the drink taker.
Yeah. Yes.
Buns, the other suspect, I mean, by true means, was a hard low-light, but you keep her in the game because there's no reason not to. The contact coming through, the fake contact, I should say, coming through was just that, but potentially you just remember that contacts happened and don't really care too much about who could have done it.
Especially in the aftermath of the Purloin, where things like that tend to fly out of your head pretty quickly while you're reacting to the much more significant event. It's actually funny. This is shockingly similar to a game I played way back in week 1 against Magician on Courtyard. I was playing another blonde character, although it was the Duke. I did an early Purloin and was a suspect for it, much like this. And I knew I was a top suspect and trying to figure out how I was going to finish missions, and just decided, well, what the heck, I'll go for a bug. I got away with the bug, but was shot for a late flirt instead. Sort of the same thing here. Gets away with the bug, even though they're a huge suspect, but gets shot for the more rote action.
Yeah, no, and I suppose this is twice that Ryooo has potentially attributed a contact incorrectly tonight. Mm-hmm. And as Yomi does, once was correct. Once was a spy shot and the other an AI shot. And here we go into the ballroom, all tied up. Ryooo now spying in a position where you're not spying to stay in the series, to stay in the tournament. You are spying to potentially take a win off YerAnd as Orange Dress. That's what this means. We'll have to see if he can do it. YerAnd, of course, wanting to convert this sniper win to put himself in a position where he can take the series. All on the line on the ballroom in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Everyone's different, but when I'm in a position where I'm a significant underdog, maybe don't expect to win, and I find myself close late like this, I loosen up. I feel like, you know what? You've done a good job. You played a good match. You've hung with a better player, potentially. And sometimes I can play a lot better because of that relaxation. Ryooo might go the other way, though, and think, oh my goodness, I have a chance to score a big upset. Don't blow it. Don't blow it.
That's a bug as we enter into the conversation here. Slightly off camera, I suppose. You can't see the action, but potentially you imply it just due to the fact that this is Taft, this is Orange Dress. These two characters go together better than, you know, jelly and peanut butter.
Yeah, especially on Ballroom. Bugging as Orange Sorry on Ballroom, it's all the rage. It's very easy. You'll get shot because you could have bugged more often than because you were seen bugging.
Ryooo, bug in hand. Well, not anymore.
Not
Slapped
anymore.
onto the booty of Taft. Goes with a contact here and splits immediately out of the conversation over towards our seduction target, General. It's not close, but it is a flirt. Oh, and a stop talk as well, as YerAnd zooms in towards this conversation.
I think they might have been interrupted, or at least I would think that YerAnd would have trouble telling there based on the flurry of activity. It looks like the suspected double agent might have interrupted them. Although sometimes, I'd say the majority of the time when you stop talk, it gets you in trouble whether it's correct or not.
Yeah, no, for me, a stop talk is dangerous game against YerAnd, whether it's correct or incorrect.
The jerky motion gets the sniper's attention is really the problem, and especially on a map like Ballroom, you can't expect that they're watching all the conversations that closely to credit you for it.
I think stepping this close back into the same conversation after the flirtation expired may be enough that YerAnd starts applying suspicion. Here comes the seduce though, 62%. We're going to take a drink. It's an innocent drink take. YerAnd zooms in to look for a purloin, but none comes. But there is a fingerprint on this drink.
And now you're looking at going for a statueless win, and that is pretty powerful even against a very good sniper.
We're going to sit here. We're going to time a flirt. And we're going, oh no, we're not. We are going hardcore. Ryooo leaves the conversation once more. Straight back over to the same window pad that he idled on before. Are we going to go immediately back into the same conversation? No. An idle. I'm watching General, hoping he came to us, but he doesn't.
I don't know about the timing of that. That doesn't look right.
No, it wasn't. Oh, 96%. And the shot. YerAnd so content that this orange dress fella was just a little bit too eager to get the number off the General.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say that if you are up against a sniper and you're worried about maybe what they can ding you for on etiquette, you're going to favor those kind of pads where you don't have to time your sips, where you can add a gallery pad or a window pad where you can just sip kind of at your leisure and not have to worry about it and not have to time it with the idol, either in a conversation alone or with someone else, especially alone, because there's more rules that apply there. But decides to go into an empty conversation anyway and risk that against a skilled sniper like YerAnd. Makes, I think, 1 or 2 errors during that idle, unfortunately. And that's just enough. The real question, if you're Ryooo, is did I just throw this away after getting away with the bug, or was I a suspect most of the game?
Yeah, no, that's pretty rough. And I mean, the hindsight 2020 player would potentially say we should have just timer flirted, but I mean, General's timing on the lead meant that the timer flirt would have never came through, and then you're left in a position where you have to chase regardless. Ryooo, losing that spy game, now puts himself in a position where, again, he has to keep up with the big dog and snipe to remain in the series. But not only the series, the Summer Cup overall. The sniper round so important for Ryooo, but for YerAnd, the spy round even more important because Ryooo has pulled punches in this series, and you really don't want to be going into extra time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very tough loss potentially if you think you got away clean with that bug, which I think might have been the case. And now fighting for your life, where just a moment ago you were probably jubilant to be going into this map not only tied, but then to score a hardtail early on and be in such a good position relative to such a good player.
YerAnd spying for his series win here on match point. Let's see if he can pull it off. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. Straight over to the green bookshelf here. We're going to get rid of this drink as quickly as possible and pick up the book. There's a lot of activity towards the left side of the map. Potentially, it is time to microfilm. Yep, a white test, and Ryooo zoomed in on the guest list and the ambassador, and so that goes completely unnoticed.
Yeah, just good timing. Again, we've seen this from YerAnd more than once already tonight. I think he did the same thing with a microfilm as Queen on Veranda earlier, correctly. And it was the same type of thing. It was, I'm going to microfilm right when that guest list goes down, and I know the sniper's going to be watching it.
Lovely redirect off the briefcase. A contact and a split out of the conversation to try and hide the tell that we have completed that. Drink offer over towards us now. We get our flirt as well. It's looking so good for YerAnd, but if microfilm is the mission that we're completing, that gives another shot over to Ryooo to catch us.
Yeah, and that's a big one. That's kind of the problem with the animation with the microfilm, is that you have to do it twice, basically. You have to do 2 hardtails.
We'll have to see how this one does go. It's going to be a fake. Surprising timing on that, considering the fact that the double agent has just joined our conversation here.
And 2 more lowlights, and this party is very well narrowed down, and all of a sudden, that blue microfilm transfer is looking very daunting.
Yeah, I don't understand the fake. Perhaps YerAnd can talk to us about that in chat. But we do complete our seduce in 2, which is good for us. Now YerAnd has to decide what order he wants to do things in. Potentially you go for the microfilm into middle statues because you don't want to be doing microfilm highlight.
I think at this point, it's going to be pretty hard to get away with either way. Highlights are relative, right? Someone's glowing. Well, if 2/3 of the party's already low lit, being neutral lit is pretty much like a highlight.
Timing here is not bad. Ambassador's entering a conversation and Toby's going away from us. This could be a good time for the microfilm. If you are YerAnd, you might decide this is it. But we are right on the screen. Here it comes. Green test. Oh, that's beautiful stuff. But did Ryooo see it, is the question. Oh, the laser's eking over. I think he did, yeah. Trying to find a highlight.
Why isn't he shot yet? Wow.
Wow.
I guess just waiting for statues then. It really seems like they saw it. They didn't zoom in on the list this time. They kept the blue bookshelf on screen when the list was taken.
YerAnd potentially feeling the heat, decides to step into side statue to swap here. Look at this, Ryooo immediately moves over towards the side, recognizes the threat, sees the statue has been swapped, and puts the shot into the head of Irish, tying their series up and pushing us into extra time.
Yeah, take a look at that blue microfilm if you get a chance. Does it at the same time. It's the exact same thing. I'm going to do this right when the list goes down, but this time, unlike the 2 previous times in this match, we've already seen it, once on Veranda and once earlier in this very game. This time, Ryooo does not zoom in on the list, keeps the whole party in view, and specifically has the camera angled so the pillar is not blocking the microfilm, almost certainly sees at least the end of it, and waits for statue confirmation.
Incredible sniper sense there coming through from Ryooo, but I mean, I have to also commend YerAnd, knowing that he was potentially a super suspect. Stepping into side statues doesn't give a sniper a reason to shoot you immediately, but it also might give you a chance to swap to finish. Ryoo's move over to the side, just recognizing that that could be the case, is beautiful. Takes the shot, and now we move into extra time, a map pool that consists of 3. Ballroom, we will continue on for another 2, straight back over to library, then on to courtyard to finalize its first to 9 here, warning track.
Yeah, this is basically a kind of fresh match in a way, like a shorter match, more akin to the group stages, basically kind of tacked onto the end. Kind of funny that you put ballroom at the end of one and at the beginning of the other, so you just keep playing it. That does change your strategy potentially. When you just play 2 on 1 map, for example, you can kind of throw all your tricks out because you know they can't react to them in the next game. You're only going to play spy once. You're only going to play sniper once. Not the case now. Suddenly, anything you threw out there, they can react to in this next set of games. And yeah, in that previous game, YerAnd, I think, did almost everything right except those banana breads. That was what swung the game ultimately.
Yeah, and this is only the second extra time we've had so far in the round of 16. The other being Pofke versus Catnip, where Pofke was able to take the series over Catnip 9-6 in upset fashion. Let's see how this one does progress as we jump over towards the ballroom once more. To start off the extra time, it is of course Ryooo going to be spying it up as Alice, a chance to potentially rectify the previous game he just played. A chance for YerAnd though to continue sniping as he does successfully. Let's see how this does play out in extra time in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And 2 pretty strong games from Ryooo on Ballroom. Obviously lost that first one for etiquette reasons, maybe flirt pairing there, but got away with the hard part, the bug, and takes a really good shot after capitalizing on those banana breads on the sniper side. So maybe you feel all right. You forced overtime, and you came very close to winning outright with that bug.
I was going to say, and Yeesh kind of confirms the rhetoric in chat. If you're Yeesh at this moment, watching this match to see who your opponent is, you are hoping that Ryooo does the tough work for you and beats YerAnd at this point, so that you don't have to face up YerAnd once more.
Yeah, maybe. But then on the other hand, if you don't face YerAnd, it's because someone beat YerAnd and you have to face them instead. So you're probably in trouble either way. I'm sorry, it's Summer Cup, round of 8. It's not going to be easy no matter who you play.
Flirt is the first mission completed. Ryooo, a 34% onto Cowboy here, sitting in a conversation as to Toby offering us the guest list, and we are going to take it. It's a white test. YerAnd, over towards General at the statues looking, now rotates to look towards Toby and the guest list, sees it's gone. We've gulped the drink as it happens. Now Ryooo is looking for another flirt here. How does YerAnd react to this?
This is the question. How sure are you that you just caught it? Can you narrow it down? Actually, the fact that there are no lowlights coming off yet makes me think that this is just confirmation, that that's all that's going on here.
Here comes the center statue inspects in a highlight. Over towards Ryooo. First inspect is a green, which puts us in good position to complete all 3. The second is a green, and we will be able to complete all 3 in 2 cycles. It's 3 greens in a row. Ryooo, the action test priority is working for him today, but now we need to find 2 more mission completions.
Well, the fact that they're not shot yet, even without banana bread, that certainly calls my guess into question about how suspicious they are for that purloin.
Oh.
Wow.
That bug. It was off camera.
Visible.
You couldn't see it.
It really was. Wow, I don't see how you can shoot now. If you haven't shot already, you're probably not going to flirt.
This could be a contactless game. This could be a game without banana bread. The worst nightmare of Checker is a game without banana bread. Let's see if YerAnd is able to find the spy in the chaos that is this game. There was a moment where YerAnd's laser sat on Alice once more. Potentially, the suspicion levels are high. There's a no talk in the conversation as we speak. Can YerAnd see it? We leave the conversation over towards the green bookshelf. We're looking for a flirt now warning track. We're looking to complete this game with a green test. It's a white though. 85%, and the game continues.
But you have that book, which gives you an excuse to move around, bounce around, and get that flirt done. And yeah, some people call it a silent game. I call it a checkerless game.
The chase was what killed us in the first ballroom spy. Let's see if the chase once more afoot will give Ryooo problems. Straight over towards our seduction target. Across the map, we chase back to statues to pick up our seduce and finish this game. The seduce is complete. Mission win countdown. There will be no overtime. We drop the statue. 4, 3, 2, 1. Ryooo will find the first spy win of extra time.
The party almost conspired to throw that game for Ryooo after getting away with 2 hardtails. That ST did exactly what you didn't want them to do once you hit that first green. It was a briefcase into bookshelves, into statues late on ballroom. Pretty much the worst kind of things they could have done other than, I don't know, briefcase. On the other hand, the fact that they went to standard statues early meant there wasn't much added suspicion for going back to statues. In fact, it might have worked the other way where YerAnd is expecting a late swap, and because it never comes, no one ever gets pulled over. Ryooo scores the win. Very big, especially big to get away with that bug after the purloin had gone off. Suggests that maybe YerAnd was actually not confident about when it had happened and how long it had been before they noticed it.
Very impressive stuff. And actually, watching the sniper cam back as the bug happens, there is a moment when YerAnd leans, looks at the guest list and starts lowlighting. Potentially, after the bug happens is the moment when YerAnd saw that the purloin had happened. And if that's the case, that definitely explains why some of the characters involved in a reject chain and a purloin were the low lit.
Yeah, so we both saw the same camera angle. We saw that the tray was blank, basically, but that there was no zoom. And I think we both assumed, because YerAnd is such a fine sniper, that they were able to see from that angle that it was gone. Based on what you're saying now, more likely, in fact, that they just didn't check it for a while, caught it so late, and by that point, all the suspicious things were already done.
Impressive. Impressive stuff from Ryooo. 2 hardtails before the guest list is seen to be gone, only needing that seduce to finish. Now with the lead, the momentum in this series, YerAnd has to spy win to keep up with Ryooo. It's the first time this series that Ryooo has found himself in the lead and now sniping to retain it. Let's see if YerAnd can throw the punches back where they came from as Orange Dress in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, if you're YerAnd, you're thinking, what happened? I was in such control of this match just a handful of games ago.
Ambassador walks past us. Our arm goes down as per idle animation, but it isn't a bug. It's just one of those precarious moments where sometimes you worry for the spy that the sniper thought it may have been. YerAnd in conversation now with our seduction target. Toby offering us a drink, and we are going to green the action test on the flirt, but reject the drink offer from Toby.
YerAnd has trailed in matches so rarely so far in the Summer Cup, briefly to Catnip and briefly to ML before going on to tie the ladder. I think win former even, something like that. Quicklime rather, I should say. So YerAnd not used to being down at all, even temporarily in these matches.
A bug attempt onto the Ambassador connects. Did Ryooo see it is the question. Sari has this awful after bug animation, which can be enough to confirm a walking bug. But if you don't see any of it, then it is invisible.
And approaching Kane levels of suspicion anyway, where you're really just looking for those paths around the Amba.
That's a fingerprint on the green book. Succeeded here for YerAnd. A bounce as Buns takes up position in conversation. It's relatively good AI movement. We'll have to see how this helps YerAnd's case. With 51% on the flirt, a bug and a fingerprint, if we aren't suspected for the bug, we are in a winning position.
Yeah, that's basically it. The only way you come back from that, really, sniper, is sometimes you just assume, you get the game sense to assume that you're behind somehow. I must have missed something. It feels like I must have missed a bug based on party behavior, based on my top suspects, what they're doing, not doing. And then maybe you can shoot for something desperate like a talk during Banana Bread or a late statue visit. But it doesn't feel like either of those things are forthcoming right now.
No, it feels like YerAnd's bug went unseen, and stepping back over towards the green bookshelf for a second time, that might just be enough to confirm in Ryoo's mind that this orange dress here is an AI. Look at this. Our seduction target goes all the way over to the middle statues. If we wanted to, we could get a double header, but I don't think that's the case. As we step into the conversation with adult agent, perhaps we're looking to contact.
Banana bread.
That's a big moment of truth and has survived unscathed.
Contact does come through. Lots of lowlights given. Oh, and the one remaining highlight The safety dance was initiated onto Taft. YerAnd, second fingerprint, second briefcase, now going to head over towards the conversation with the seduction target to finish our flirt. But they split out of conversation. If YerAnd cannot get the flirt, goes to briefcase. We saw a meme about this earlier today. This could be disaster for YerAnd because he won't be able to complete. Will Ryooo hold the shot is the question. We're adding time. It's a white test at the window and the time has been added and we were the only one there and Ryooo saw it. The highlight came through. The lowlights are filtering. This could be it for YerAnd.
And you can't chase the ST. Look at them. They're all the way across. You have a slow character. This is such a risk. Even if you want to chase them to statues, you have to wait. And meanwhile, Ryooo, based on that highlight, probably waiting for anything like even a talk to shoot.
20 seconds left on the clock here. Toby, the waiter, cannot offer us a drink, I don't believe, because of our current position. So YerAnd has to move over towards our seduction target for the seduce. 10 seconds, we started up. The seduce is done. Will Ryooo take the shot is the question. He's aiming it, but Toby's blocking. He's aiming it, but Toby's blocking. The shot comes through in the end regardless. And unbelievably, Ryooo converts the sniper win.
That's probably, again, YerAnd is continually, this is what makes YerAnd so strong. Even when they make mistakes, even when they miss things, they tend to do the best version of a recovery that they can manage. In this case, you're such a big suspect for the time ad that a normal talk almost certainly gets you shot. By doing the flirted bookshelves, you force a slightly harder shot than it would have been otherwise. I think the only flaw there was flirting before the book pickup. I think you could have made it a little harder on them. I feel that that was more of a confirmation for Ryooo. But YerAnd giving Ryooo the toughest possible shot after that spat of bad luck with the late briefcase from the seduction target.
I mean, yeah, you can flirt after the book, but if you do so, there's 100% overtime. I mean, there was going to be overtime anyway, 2 seconds of it, but 2 seconds is not often enough to make a shot. Oh, wow. That is potentially the worst throw of a spy game I have casted outside of Checkers' million half progress completions and gallery into a timeout. I feel so sorry for YerAnd, so empathetic. And now, behind in the series, Ryooo up for the first time 7-5. It is first to 9. He needs 2 more points. Library could be the map to find it. Of course, for YerAnd, you are not willing to give up a series that easily. It's time to pull out the big guns on the sniper round, and you have to start it now, or else this series starts to fall apart. It is Ryooo looking to continue towards a win as Irish on Library in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, if you're YerAnd now, you're definitely taking this as seriously as you can. You really don't have. You need to start winning right now to avoid the upset.
Good point by Namphless in chat is that potentially Ryooo lost on Library due to a DA not cooperating. Now it's YerAnd who loses to the AI. Just finding that briefcase so damn attractive. Now Ryooo stepping towards middle statues, but it's in between 2 beautiful blokes in Duke and Cowboy here. So potentially it's less suspicious. Seems like YerAnd's going to highlight it for it regardless. And that's a swap as well. Oh my.
It's a little more aggressive than I think I like. However, there is something to be said, and it's funny, I was just getting ready to say it when it happened.
Animation break
not great.
at statues.
Yeah, YerAnd's going to absolutely be on this. If they weren't before, they're going to be now. The swap early on Library like that, it's actually reasonably good when you get a flurry of statue visitors. It is so easy to say, well, I'm not sure what statue.
Oh no. He's seen the swap. He's starting the low light. The contact is chaos, but the low lights are flooding in. YerAnd is all over this.
Yeah, I think so. I think without the animation break and without the banana bread, there's a decent chance sometimes just because nobody's expecting that swap, they'll just go, oh, who was it? Who was it which? Was it Duke? Was it Irish? Were they at left? Were they at right? That's definitely happened to me before. But in this case, it just seems like a simple mistake.
Couple of lowlights return to highlights. YerAnd is starting to dabble guess himself, but here comes Ryooo stepping into the second visit at statues, looking to finish up in specs in our 3rd mission completion here at the 2 minute and 10 second mark.
And if you're YerAnd, you still don't quite have a reason to shoot. You already suspect the swap, so how much damage can really happen there? They couldn't have possibly be done with Flirt yet. That's one of the weird things about thinking you've seen a swap so early. Even if you're not Flirt pairing, you can be confident that's not done, whereas in most setups, you're crediting Flirt by the time you see the hardtail.
And I was worried about the Flirt because we're starting it off at the 2-minute mark, but Ryooo is on fire and an action test of green puts us straight up to 51%. The Ambassador in a position when he exits this conversation, maybe we find the behind the back bug as well. YerAnd needs to guard it like a saint or else this game might be lost right here.
Yeah, he's in big trouble now. Most of the prompts for the shot, if you're waiting for confirmation on that swap, have already happened. But again, so early on that it's possible one more talk could do it against someone like YerAnd.
Right now, Ryooo is considering, do I bounce into the Ambassador and bug him whilst YerAnd's not looking? Or do I just wait and hope that he walks past me? It'll be fairly unexpected because there's no reason to. Oh, he goes for it on camera and YerAnd lines up the shot. He finds the shot necessary to start his comeback in extra time, and Ryooo will be the one receiving it.
Yeah, presaging that was a frustrated camera shake when the seduction target left. I think they wanted to do a timer Flirt, but when they didn't cooperate there, decides to do something a little more aggressive.
Oh, even worse warning track. The bug failed.
After all that.
It's the worst thing is when the bug fails after you get caught bugging. And here it is. YerAnd just switches over. You see the hand so easily. Irish has one of the best walking bugs, but not when she's facing the camera like so. YerAnd all over it, now spying on Library to bring this series back to a tie. As Walt Disney, the series is relatively intense. If you're feeling it, it's because it's true. Right now, YerAnd is spying to tie it back up in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And that's a big one. You stopped the bleeding. You've had some tough games. You've given up some significant spy wins here. First thing you need to do is right the ship. And now YerAnd, one spy win away from evening this up.
Bug beginning of the game. And Ryooo will shoot for it. It's back on. 8-6.
Wow, very quick. Made it too easy for him, unfortunately, but has had success with these bugs so far. So I really can't fault the decision. It's just Library. Sometimes you guess wrong. Sometimes they're looking at it rather than away from it.
Holy moly.
Wow.
It's time for Courtyard.
It's after all that, this is what you don't want. You don't want a map like this where you need to win them both. This is where you kind of wish you were playing something. When you're going into a match like this and you're the favorite, you want those safe maps. Those are the ones you're going to grind it out on. You're going to build a lead on the maps you like, and you're going to grind out ties on the ones maybe you don't like as much, maybe the sniper favored ones, although, as we said, there is some debate about that now. But when you're down like this and you need to win them both, Courtyard is not what you want to see.
Courtyard is most certainly not what you want to see. But may I remind you of the previous time we played here on the Courtyard. It was Ryooo with 2 very quick fingerprints finding the spy win and then converting the sniper shot. Well, here on 8 points, he doesn't need that sniper shot just yet. He just needs the spy win. When we went to Ballroom back in regular map time, it was an even game, but right now all of the cards are in Ryoo's deck. YerAnd is sniping and spying for tournament survival against Ryooo in what could be possibly the biggest upset of this entire tournament if it is to proceed. Ryooo as queen in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And I mentioned earlier that in overtime, you're going to play these maps again. So now Ryooo did those quick 2 fingerprints that you mentioned before, but YerAnd knows how they lost that game now. So Ryooo is going to have to do something else potentially to score another win. But the nice thing is they can throw away this spy game if they can just win their sniper game too. They can just try something here. They can be aggressive if they need to, knowing that they have that sniper game to fall back on.
Ryooo heads into conversation for a seduce, hits the white tester 34% into briefcase to pick up an early fingerprint. Relatively good stop from the other side of the statue. Might look good from a sniper's perspective. At this point, YerAnd will not be worrying too much about his voodoo lowlights. He is just looking to find any suspicious character.
Yeah, you have to be very careful here. One wrong shot and your whole tournament is over. That is a rough spot to be in, even on Courtyard where you generally...
Ryooo into side statues now, picks it up. Finds the inspects for himself. Oh, we inspect our statue first. And then, oh no, we don't. Okay, never mind. It's all good. We got our action priorities correct. We inspect the side statue, we inspect our statues, we pick up our third flirt here at the statues. 2 for the price of 1, seemingly. Pathing through the path here, a little bit hard, but for a second there, YerAnd was looking to reward it, decides against it.
And I think that's right. I think whatever your strategy is normally when you have no... I think you'll see the corners get sanded off of some of the behavioralism.
What a tight spot to be in as YerAnd. 4 highlights is more than he would want on Courtyard. Here comes the contact to knock some of them down. We have 2 highlights in conversation with double agents Duke and Queen. Ryooo now just needs one more mission, and he finds himself in the quarterfinals after knocking YerAnd out of the tournament. 26 seconds, the beeping has started. We request a drink from Toby. We're looking to Purloin at window pad. It's a white screen test, and here comes YerAnd rotating around. 8 seconds, 7, 6,
He's
and a 5. He has not seen it yet. He's behind the statue. There's no way YerAnd makes his shot. Ryooo, with the upset, takes the series over YerAnd and finds himself in the quarterfinals.
Oh my goodness, that is just a simple decision. YerAnd deciding I have to watch the ambassador at the end of the match, not expecting a Purloin to come off. That's all it is. Not exactly selling out on the ambassador, but pretty darn close to it. I got to admit, I did not know the outcome of this match as we were casting it. I'm a good boy. I did not peek at the results. But part of me just kept thinking every time Ryooo took a lead, I thought, okay, when's YerAnd going to flip the switch, right? When's it going to happen? There's got to be something. It's got, they're going to figure it out eventually. But Ryooo, after falling behind early, forcing overtime, and just coming through with these strong spy wins, actually scores the upset, definitely the biggest of the tournament so far. And now, look out. You said you wanted to face Ryooo instead of YerAnd. Be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for, indeed, Yeesh. Wow. Incredible stuff here coming through. No one predicted this win at all. Some potentially had Ryooo as their dark horse, because to get to finals you have to beat YerAnd, and then you have to beat what would have been Frosty or Pox is now a Bear or Pox, and then you have to beat the winner of Yeesh versus JY, and then you have to get into finals. So yeah, if anyone's going to make a path that is unbelievable, but if they've done it they deserve to win, it's Ryooo. Well, the first step has just been completed in a very unlikely championship story, and Ryooo makes his way into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is that, wins with, a couple wins to spare too, and gave away at least one of those games with the banana bread issues that we mentioned. Certainly has room to improve is the scary thing. What's really impressive was the spy play, though. Those were good spy games. YerAnd did not give those away for the most part. There were definitely some errors, as I mentioned, selling out on watching that bug in that last game in particular. That's obviously a bit of a mistake. You have to at least give a little bit of attention to the other hardtails. You can't make that assumption. But maybe just not willing to believe that Ryooo would mix up the spy play as much as they did. But I still feel like this was more Ryooo winning spy games than YerAnd throwing sniper games.
Yeah, absolutely. Some really fantastic spy play coming from Ryooo. A dangerous sight. I want to go back into my Google Forms where I asked for the community's
just about
predictions.
to ask, did anybody call this is what I was going to ask.
Absolutely. Let's have a quick look, because if someone has even just put Ryooo as a dark horse, then they deserve credit for that, in my opinion. Heading into the response form now, goes
Yeah.
Dalcy.
How about this? Did anyone not have YerAnd going into the top 8 at least? That is hard to imagine.
Right. Well, so many people. YerAnd was the number one prediction from the community to win the Summer Cup. The number 2 prediction to come second in the Summer Cup.
Wow.
The number 2 prediction to come third in the Summer Cup. No one predicted him to come fourth because that's just absurd. But Ryooo was the number 1 prediction to be a dark horse in the Summer Cup. 3 people said if Ryooo, I suppose, beats YerAnd, then they win the whole thing. I want to find out who those people are because they deserve it. Or Ryooo? Ryooo himself?
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I'd like to find out who they are. Ask them who they think Super Bowl. I could use the money. Absolutely. That's quite a call. Go buy a lottery ticket, you guys, while you're at it.
Yeah. Yeesh Turnip Boy. Congratulations on the dark horse prediction because after that match, it's one step closer to being so. Wow. Incredible games tonight. Incredible round of 16. Here's the live bracket because everyone wants to see it with their own 2 eyes. The quarterfinals as they stand is Yeesh versus JY. Ryooo versus the winner of a Bear Raw versus Pox. Unfortunately for those who potentially missed it, Frosty has dropped out of the tournament. A Bear Raw was the highest scoring non-qualifying player in the group stages and has been replaced as a wild card in the round of 16 in Frosty's position. We'll play Pox later on, I assume, and the winner of that will now play Ryooo. Of course, Namphless will play myself, and Bitbanding Pig will play Pofke in what was a fairly big upset. I suppose in both those series, whilst Bitbanding Pig is fantastic, Belial's recent performance was enough for most people to predict that Belial would beat Bitbanding Pig. And of course, Catnip was the favourite against Pofke in the battle for Lithuania. We've got some intense quarterfinals coming up, Morning Track. We've had an intense round of 16, and the Summer Cup 2018 is shaping up to be beautiful.